Court proceedings were disrupted after Mr. McDonald was acquitted, promoting a brief adjournment. Mr. McDonald remained in the dock with Evans, 23, of Penistone, South Yorkshire, who held his head in his hands and cried. Mr. McDonald hugged Evans and the two footballers banged heads together. When the judge returned to the court, the jury foreman gave the guilty verdict against Evans. The Sheffield United centre-forward threw the headphones and he was using to follow the trial on the floor and then looked shocked. In sentencing him to 5 years in prison, the judge said the complainant was 19 years of age and was extremely intoxicated. Pakistani women's lives destroyed by acid attacks. Campaigners in Pakistan say cases of acid attacks are increasing in most areas, even though tougher penalties were introduced by last year. An Oscar-winning Pakistani documentary has put the crime under the spotlight. But it's estimated that more than 150 women have acid thrown on them every year, usually by husbands or in-laws, and many never get justice. Her name is Shama, meaning candle, and she says her husband burnt her flesh as if it was candle wick. The young mother of 4 has just joined the ranks of Pakistani women doused in acid. She is scarred for life, with burns of 15% on her body. Her crime was her beauty. My husband and I often had arguments in the house, she said, in her hospital bed. On that day before going to sleep, she said, "You take too much pride in your beauty." Then in the middle of the night, he threw acid on me and ran away. When her husband fled, he took her mobile phone with him, so she could not call for help. Scorched cheeks. Shama shows me a picture taken at a children's party 4 months ago. It's a snapshot of an attractive young woman with immaculate makeup, wearing an orange outfit flecked with gold. Her hair is swept back to reveal dangling earrings, but acid has erased that confident, composed Shama. I feel pain when I was and what I have become, she said with tears coursing down her scorched cheeks. All the colors have gone from my life. I feel like I am living corpse. Even worse than a living corpse, I think I have no right to live. Shama now lies at Ward 10A of the burns unit of Nishar Hospital in Multan in Pakistan's Punjab province. It's a monument to neglect. The plaster is peeling off the walls and there is a leaking pipe hanging from the ceiling. When patients need transfusions, their relatives are dispatched to buy pints of blood. But the doctors here are expert at treating women disfigured by acid. They see 1 or 2 new victims every week. At morning rounds, they gather at Shama's bed, asking if she is eating and keeping her burns covered with cream. They try to relieve her pain, but cannot ease her despair. I can't say anything about the future, she says. Maybe I won't be alive. I will try for my kids to get back to what I was. Have to work to build a future for them. If I can't, I'll do what 1 or 2 other girls have done. They kill themselves. Anders Breivik describes Norway island massacre. Anders Behring Breivik has described how he shot people who were begging for their lives during his island rampage in which dozens died last July. Testifying before an Oslo court, he described seeing people curled up and completely paralyzed as he reloaded his weapon and shot at them in the head. Earlier, that 33-year-old said he was normally a nice person but had shut off his emotions to carry out the attacks. The main aim of the trial is to decide whether he is sane or insane. On 22nd July 2011, Breivik set off a car bomb near government buildings in Oslo, killing 8 and then massacred 69 participants in Labour Party youth camp on nearby island of Utøya. In Friday's testimony, he said he had arrived on island dressed as a policeman and told security officials at the camp he had been posted there following the bombings in the capital. Reporter Steven Rosberg in the courtroom says Breivik then described in chilling detail how he killed the people. Before shooting his first victims, Breivik said he had 100 voices in his head telling him not to do it. But after that moment of hesitation, he said he pulled the trigger, shot 2 people in the head and moved on. Displaying no emotion, Breivik went on to say he had entered a cafe where several people were hiding. Some of them are completely paralyzed. They cannot run, he said. 2 people were curled up. He said he reloaded after running out of ammunition. People were begging for their lives. I just shot them in the head. Others pretended to be dead, he added, but he knew they had not been wounded and shot them too. Breivik continued his rampage around the island, luring youths from hiding places by telling them he was a police officer who was there to protect them. When they came out, he said, I shot towards many of them, aiming at their heads. The stunned silence in the courtroom was replaced with tears. Our reporters adds. We'll move on to the business world.
Reliance sees quarterly profit dropped by 21%. Reliance Industries, India's largest private company, has reported a second consecutive quarterly falling in profit. Net profit was 42.34 billion rupees, which is $830 million and 515 million pounds in 3 months, down 21% from the previous year. Reliance, run by the Indian richest man, Mr. Mukesh Ambani, was hit by falling oil and gas output. Crude oil production fell by 38%. Last year, the UK-based BP paid $7 billion to buy a stake in 21 of its offshore fields. Expansions, we have created a strong foundation for future growth and are investing in our upstream and petrochemical business in India, Mr. Ambani said. But natural gas production fell by 23.5% due to unforeseen reserve complexity at one of our facilities. Reliance operates the world's largest oil refining complex in Jamnagar, which is able to process 1.24 million barrels of oil a day. As well as seeing acquisitions, Reliance has been expanding in financial services, retailing, hotels, and entertainment. Mr. Ambani, who is 54, recently topped the list of billionaires from the country in the Forbes magazine's annual list of the world's richest billionaires. He has amassed $22.3 billion fortunes and is ranked 19th in the global rich list, the magazine said. Of the 1,226 billionaires in the year's Forbes list, 48 of them are Indians. Welcome to the world of science. Evolution scenes in synthetic DNA. Researchers have succeeded in mimicking the chemistry of life in synthetic versions of DNA and RNA molecules. The work shows that DNA and its chemical cousin, RNA, are not unique in their ability to encode information and to pass it on through heredity. The work, reported in Science, is promising for future synthetic biology and biotechnology efforts. It also hints to the idea that if life exists elsewhere, it could be bound by the evolution that, not by similar chemistry. In fact, one reason to mimic the functions of DNA and RNA, which help cells to manufacture proteins, is to determine how they came about at the dawn of their life on Earth. Many scientists believe that RNA arose first but was preceded by simpler molecules that performed the same functions. However, it has remained unclear if any other molecules can participate in the same unzipping and copying process that gives DNA and RNA their ability to pass on the information they carry in the sequence of their nuclear bases. The 5 chemical group letters from which the 2 molecules' genetics information is composed. And in sports, Bahrain Grand Prix Crown Prince backed race despite protest. Bahrain Crown Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa says the weekend Grand Prix will go ahead despite protests. Cancelling the race just powers extremists. Having it allow us to build bridges and celebrate our nation as an idea that positives, he said. Unrest in the Gulf states has led to calls for race to be cancelled for the 2nd year running. On Friday, thousands attended a protest in Badwai demanding an end to the crackdown of dissent. Riot police initially showed resistance, but when a group of about 100 protestants broke away and attempted to reach the site of the former Pearl roundabout, the focus of last year's pro-democracy demonstrations, they fired stun, grenades and tear gas.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. And before we close today's bulletin of news analysis, let's have a recap of the main points. France election, Hollande and Sarkozy in final drive. Pakistan plane crashes near Islamabad airport. Agni V Indian Long Range Missile ICBM test launched successfully. Footballer rape trial, Chet Evans jail 5 years, Clayton McDonald cleared. Pakistani women's lives destroyed by acid attacks. Anders Breivik describes Norway island massacre. And there we end today's bulletin of news analysis. Be with us in the coming weeks too. Thank you.